In this video, I'll show you how to adjust the accounts payable balance of supplier in case of goods return. To work with such document, go to Purchasing module, open Debit Notes from the Purchasing documents. Here you will find the list of debit notes created. To create a new document, click on Create option and fill in all the required fields in the tabs available. In the main tab, change the transaction type from mutual adjustment to goods return. Once the right type of transaction type is selected, add the mandatory details, that is the company to whom the goods will be returned, the contract, and the right entity need to be selected. Select an invoice received in the basis field when return is based on the invoice received in the system. You can click on the arrow and show all. Choose the relevant invoice received from the list. Once the mandatory details are filled, fill in the rest of the details in the main tab, that is the warehouse, purchase order if available, and the project. To have the details returned, you can either manually add the details of the item in the inventory tab one by one, or you can go to the main tab and click fill by basis beside the basis document to fill all the items automatically in the inventory tab. Once filled automatically, remove the lines which you do not need and leave the lines with the return item. For example, the invoice received has one item and 3 quantities. I will return only one quantity, therefore will manually keep only one quantity to be returned. All the details will be filled automatically, therefore make sure it filled correctly as required. Once the inventory tab is filled, move on to the expense tab. By using this tab, you can specify expenses incurred in the process of goods return to the supplier or required for invoice corrections. Click on Add option to add the line. Choose the expense type, the quantity, the price, and rest of the mandatory details. Select the option Include expenses in the cost price to be able to add the expenses to the cost of the item. Once that is selected, make sure to allocate the expense proportionally to the item under the field expense amount. Once done, move on to the settlement tab. Here you need to specify how you want to use this debit note. That is, if you want to apply as a payment against the invoice received, which was used as a basis, or to the other invoice received in future. You can post as an advance payment that can be used as a basis for refund or can be applied to other invoice received. Unless you specify otherwise, the system by default will automatically apply the debit note as a payment to the invoice received used on the basis. Since this example has a basis, it will be considered as a payment for invoice received. Therefore, leave the document as it is and post the document so the invoice received will be picked automatically. Please note, if the debit note amount is greater than the invoice balance, then the excess amount will be used as an advance. And this advance amount can be used to offset the payable balance in future invoice received using the option Prepayments, which is available under the Invoice Received main tab. Going back to the document, in the Additional Information tab, you can specify additional details for the debit note. In the in-doc number and the from field, enter the information about the received document, this document's number and its date. In the department field, you can specify the purchasing department of the entity that received the debit note. In the responsible field, you can specify the employee who is responsible for this debit note. In the reasons field, you can enter any useful information provided by supplier about this transaction. Once all the details are filled, recheck the document and post the document. To check what journal entry has been created, click on View on Document Transaction Details. You can see the entry of reversal of goods return, reversal of payable amount, and reversal of input VAT. To adjust the recoverable and the input VAT amount calculated on the supplier's receipt, and in case of return to the supplier, a tax credit note receipt need to be created. It is used to keep a copy of an electronic or paper tax credit note receipt from your supplier. To create such a document, go back to the debit note. Under the main tab, fill all the details of the tax invoice received available at the bottom, that is, add the document number and the date of the document. Once done, click on Generate Tax Credit Note Receipt. To view the entry, go to the Tax Credit Note Received document and check the debit and credit transaction details. This document will reverse the recoverable amount and adjust the VAT return document. You can also create this document manually by going to the Purchasing module, open Tax Credit Note Received document and use the Create option and fill all the required details to post the document. That's how you can record return of goods to the supplier. Thanks for watching the video.